Oh! Me. Oh, I need to do a Twitter, a tweet. I am live. Okay, listen. Say hi. Bam. Something about that. Things and stuff. Cool. Yes, X has Zeets. Hi, I'm BoredGamer. Hope you're all doing well. I've been dieting over the last couple of weeks. Sorting myself out. I think I've lost a little tiny bit of weight already. Certainly been exercising a lot more. It's good. I need it. I hope everyone's doing well. We've got Fleet Week coming up end of next week. We've got Alpha 4.1.1 being released between now and then. That's the main things, really, right? And we did also have the CIG financials released, but I need to dig into them better. Basically, they show a £20 million, $20 million loss in 2023, but it's not as simple as that because obviously there's liabilities and them buying turbulence and stuff like that, right? So, hello. Hope you're all doing well. Don't know how long I'm going to be here for. Probably about half an hour today, just because my house is being done. They're doing the garden and some other bits, and I'm waiting for someone to come around and sort of start to plan out a downstairs toilet. So everything is all go. I hope you are all doing well. Hello. If you'd like to ask a question during the live stream, just say question in brackets and then ask away. Hello. We don't know when Star Citizen 1.0 release is going to be, which is the first step of a full release, I suppose. But I'm expecting probably 2027 for what they planned 1.0 to be. Squadron 42, it's got a 2026 release date now, which is great. Well, release year, not a date, it's a year. But yeah, that's at least something. 4.1.1, really impressive patch. Okay, so it's super meaty. They've made mining really good and actually made it a full-on gameplay loop. And move your cargo and refine it and all that sort of stuff and do mining ops now. Oh, perfect. So I'm sort of really happy with that. There's a ton of combat missions. There's a big focus on new missions and combat missions and sort of getting them PvP missions and bounties work again and just a load of stuff. And then you've got all the Fleet Week stuff, a load of balance updates. We don't know all the ships and vehicles that are turning up for Fleet Week. You know, the TAC's going to be there, the Star Lancer TAC, which looks to be a ridiculously cool ship that can do a lot of everything, but maybe not a master of any specific combat role. But if you're a sort of small to medium group or org, an amazing event and mission runner as a ship, especially it's got a medical bay and room for a vehicle and room for a ship and loads of stuff. Do you think the Anvil Paladin and the Asgard could come out on a Fleet Week? It is possible. So we had rumours of both of those potentially for Fleet Week. We'll have to wait and see if either of them or both of them do turn up. We've certainly got room for a load more ships and vehicles, and they are both viable. We also have room for potentially a concept or will be completed later this year sort of ship as well that they like to do. I've just realised my glasses, I think my face is actually wonky rather than my glasses. My glasses are a few years old now and I just don't use them. They sort of might have got wonky on their own. I just think I've got a wonky face. Your thoughts on component changes? So they've been tweaking military components and they've been trying to get some general balance on the go. I am reserving judgment until a little bit later. So we're about to get light blades, which are going to be tuning items. So sort of fine-tune some of the movement and IFCS like stuff in your ship. So maybe they're able to make you more agile. Maybe they'll make you slightly higher top speed or more sort of responsive or stuff like that. So that's the sort of thing I'm expecting from them. But these lead on to eventually AI blades and other similar items and other tuning items. And when we have engineering in the game, then component changes are a lot more relevant. At the moment, they're sort of messing around. There are huge changes with ships like the Raft, sort of doubling its SCU, making it a functional cargo bed, doubling the health effectively of a lot of stuff on the Valkyrie. Lots of capital ship changes as well, right? So larger ships are hugely sort of feel heavier. They feel like they've got a load more mass to them. So people see that as a big nerf. Do you think they will bring the van in as a playable face for the flight between the two, or will they just stay as the Vandal? That as a play, so potentially after in the far future, maybe they'd have playable Vandal in the far future. If you're thinking 2027 for 1.0, what's the potential release timeline for the two systems that were on that were more concept in your mind? So I think we'll see Nyx this year, and I think we could see Castra and Terra as well. Sort of 2026, 2027. That would be my expectation. A star system a year sort of thing. So what do AI... So will they add blades? Because big ships need like 7 people or more or are unplayable. So there will be AI crew and there will be AI blades. So blades will give you semi-autonomous function of some of the systems in your ship based on the computer slots you've got. They will effectively allow you to run some ships with less crew. It's one of the things. But they can give other functionality as well, which is like these tuning blades that we're getting. AI blades are coming, just not yet. It could be quite a while. These are early steps towards that. They're ratifying sort of blades as a component, and they're saying this is one type, really early type of them. Next this year is practically possible. I think we could see it by the end of the year. I mean maybe you're right. I don't see it that way, though. But I'm often wrong. I'm going to have to take off my headset. I've hurt my neck. Ooh, like a fibrositis. I mean, Terra is a lot less, reasonable and viable, right? It's possible. No, it's I mean, it's possible, right? Especially if they've got teams working on it now. Because a lot of that can just be... Because it's a few major landing zones, really, and the rest of it's city planet. Yeah? Yeah, there's a huge amount of stuff for 1.0. If you're talking about can they have it done in 2.5 years, I genuinely think they can. However, I may be very wrong. If that's their main focus, okay, I can see that. I mean, they've got a huge staff and loads of studios working on this now, right? You have any star sets and hot takes? I think that was one of them. I think we could see 1.0 by the end of 2027. That's probably a big hot take. I'd say 2030 for 1.0. Oh. We'll have to wait and see, right? It might become more and more apparent. Like I was like, we're getting towards 2027. They still got engineering to do or something. And I'll be like, okay, yeah. I live in hope. When does the Reclaimer get the point defense systems? Let's see what happens with this sort of stuff, because they're obviously going to make a load of the capital ships feel a bit more protected and tanky, and point defense systems and that sort of stuff are going to be utilized for that. Yeah, it may have been a bit too confident of me saying end of 2027 for 1.0, but I mean, we'll see. Like I'm a huge optimist. I happily lie to myself. I've not been following it recently. Where are they on dynamic server meshing? Have they been any official statements? Not really, other than they need it for 1.0. Not much in the way of official stuff. I mean, they are working on sort of dynamic server meshing kind of now. Sort of the improvements they're making and the tests they're doing to the static server meshing is sort of also steps towards that. I've largely been absent since 2000. What's changed since then? Oh dear. Much stuff has changed since 2000. There are so many developers working in the background that we have no idea how much they're working on. So I'm hoping that they update the roadmap to be a bit more friendly to the long term of what they've got for 1.0. Because obviously their monthly patch cadence means that anything that's not coming in the next month or next 2 months goes into the 1.0 column of stuff that could turn up over the next few years. Let me be more specific, actually. Well, in 2027, I would expect a large portion, if not most of, the 1.0 content to be in-game. Maybe not all of it, because thinking about it, when someone said, what about Terra? It's like, oh, Terra is... They could have it by 2027, but it's just very unlikely. And like space station base building, they could have it. They are making loads of big strides because of their sort of content patches there, right? Yeah, so bed logging and quantum travel stuff that they're sort of working on at the moment. I'm hoping that gets all fixed for 4.1.1. I was expecting 4.1.1 to go live sort of last weekend, and so they could then sort of hotfix it now. But I was talking to Zin about it today. Obviously, Fleet Week's next week. It makes sense for them to try and get 4.1.1 out this week, and then hotfix it as much as possible, tweak it, and get Fleet Week as tested as possible as well. You're going to want people to be able to download Star Citizen outside of Fleet Week, so that otherwise there's going to be a huge run because of the nature of the Fleet Week stuff, right? The free fly stuff. B Falcon UK, it was just that you said absent since 2000, which is 25 years. So she wants a typo or something I don't. Really looking forward to anything secret and special they've got turning up for Hunt the Polaris, because it could be also Hunt the Idris, which I'm hoping for, is maybe Hunt the sort of Idris P, one that's on display. Something like that would be cool. You know, they've been updating the Idris quite heavily. Some people think the Idris is going to be available this year or with Fleet Week even, but that would be cool. I do recall Duke Nukem Forever. So yeah, they're still going to want 100 to 120 star systems eventually in Star Citizen over a couple of decades of game, right? Load of those, a good portion of those star systems are going to be pretty basic. Some of them are going to be relatively in depth. Yeah, that's what they're going to want, right? Yeah, they could do relatively empty systems. I mean, they built the asteroid clusters for 4.1.1, which are basically space stations and asteroid bases and clusters of asteroids all clumped together with no interior, just for backdrops and interest for combat missions and flying around. Star Citizen's development's going to be quite a long time. But it's a really interesting project, right? Especially more interesting because of its playable nature. Playable now, they market it as a kind of polished product in a way. Where's the Banner Merchantman? It's going to be a while. They might start talking about it again. It's like CitizenCon this year or something. Obviously, they've got Wicklow in the verse, who's a Banu. Might start seeing some more Banu architecture and stuff. Ironclad for Fleet Week, and Ironclad Assault for Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. It's one of the crazier things that I've heard from people. It's a possibility. I think it's more likely you'll see the Ironclad at the IAE later this year, than at Fleet Week. It's very unlikely at Fleet Week. But maybe we'll be surprised. Yes, Pyro and Nyx were supposed to be largely empty, but they changed those. I mean, Nyx is relatively simple and uses a lot of the same Pyro stuff they've got, right? Cool. Meant 2020 rather than 2000. Gotcha. It's been a long 5 years in the world of Star Citizen, but over that time, really, they've bought Turbulent. They've got their UK office being the main focus. They've depreciated and got rid of the LA studio, and they're basically mostly making the game now in the UK with Turbulent and Frankfurt supporting them. There's a lot going on in Turbulent as well, admittedly. There's a reasonable amount going on in Frankfurt. And there's still some stuff going on in Austin, but it's an interesting one. They're much more focused now this year on playability and content. They're trying to get Star Citizen into a feel of like what a beta game would be, or like a traditional early access game. Something out of alpha. And they've also sort of confirmed what a 1.0 of Star Citizen will be, and they've said once we get to these features, which include things like crafting and base building, and a big array of features, engineering and stuff as well, which hopefully will come quite soon. So once we've got all these features in, there's no more resets. We consider Star Citizen released, but there's a load more to come after it, and part of that is 5-star systems. Well, I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate anyone watching any of my videos genuinely and asking questions or whatever. I just recently turned 40, and I started covering Star Citizen in my 20s. I was... Oh. Congratulations on everyone that's had a birthday recently, especially with the over 50s. My every year my want for AI blades or AI crews is increased. I'll tell you that. Especially in my inability to aim. Yes, feel free to ask any questions you want, question in brackets, and I'll try and answer them. With the LA Studios shutting down, is Sherry Heisenberg still with the project? So she obviously is the... She's a law woman. She's like chief archivist or something like that, right? That's her job title. I don't 100% know. I believe she still is, but I don't know for sure. Sorry, Heisenberg? Am I getting just confused with Breaking Bad? I'll find out. Yeah, Sherry Heiberg. She appears to still be there. Don't know that for sure. Yeah, there's obviously lots of comparisons with Star Citizen's development and then problems with GTA 5, GTA 6, right? It's interesting to see how much the marketing budget for Star Citizen is going to go as well. Like, I'm very, very interested in this and how they're going to market it. They're going to have a more traditional marketing method for Squadron, I would expect. Oof. Do not know how long I'll be able to stream for because my neck is pretty bad. Do you think we'll get a character rework when they do the drone pass? So, it's interesting, right? Because obviously we need drones for loads of different stuff in game. From the Apollo's medical drones to the salvage drones on the Reclaimer, scouting drones. There's rearm repair and refuel drones. Drones are relatively simple in terms of they're effectively just little tiny remote ships. Don't know. All ships are going to get a level of rework at some point. I don't know where drones are on their list of things to do. Like, they could be really close to being done, or they could be like, oh, they're on the back burner for now. It's really hard to tell with certain stuff. But we're getting a monthly report later this week, so that might give us some indication. I'm going to get some water and get a painkiller. Behind the wizard's can. So I thought the TAC had 2 remote turrets and then 2 manned turrets. But I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it was interesting seeing the over 100 Polarises on one screen at one point during the test there, and some Idrises flying around during those stress tests. It's also interesting seeing how low the frame rate went during the Idris tour and sort of Fleet Week test that they had on the PTU. That's really interesting. It was single-digit frames, but that's partly because they had effectively gone, oh, you just there's no green zone here, there's no armistice zone, you just fly wherever you want, and people were docking with this Idris. There was hundreds of people around, there was ships that were exploding and not getting cleaned up afterwards, just loads of just landing gear and bodies everywhere. It was really weird. Well, maybe not weird, but very stress testy. I need to mess around with, is it Lossless Scaling, that program on Steam at some point as well for performance? Yeah, it's hopefully they'll be able to get the performance up for this 4.1.1 build and the Fleet Week stuff, because typically they'll run these events and everything will explode. Does the... What does the... I thought the tech had 2 remote turrets. Am I going mad? Maybe I am. Sure, it had 2 remote turrets as well. They've only got 2 manned turrets. It's got a reasonable amount of forward-facing firepower for the... It's got... According to the Star Citizen tool page, it's got 2 remote turrets as well. However, yeah. It's got 2 remote turrets on top, and so let me show you what I'm seeing. And it's got rocket pods at the rear doors that can be fired by the co-pilot. There's 2 remote turrets. And I believe 2 manned turrets. I believe. Citation needed. Yeah. And I've got the manned turrets here, and then another one on the other side. The turret here and turret here. The landing bay. Got the car can be. Got your mid bay. Got your troops and your armory. Your bunk area. Engineering. I really like this ship. I think it's absolutely great. Might be a little too big for me. What are you looking forward to with 4.1.1? So Fleet Week in general, obviously the new ships and everything. I just really like the focus on combat missions and mining. So mining is genuinely a great gameplay loop with 4.1.1, especially if they tweak it a little tiny bit more before release. And it just then needs a proper economy and crafting to support it. I say just, obviously quite a lot there. And then just the focus on combat missions is fantastic because they are making it so that there is a huge amount to do with loads of different types of combat mission, which is obviously essential for what is this kind of a space combat / dogfighting game. Yes, there's a ton more Star Citizen than that, and you don't have to do any of that if you don't want to ever. But it's a space sim / combat game, at least Squadron is, and Star Citizen is mostly, but not entirely. And obviously Star Citizen has expanded hugely now on its scale and exactly what it wants to do. But I've just started playing Expedition 33 as well. The music here reminds me of it. The ability to do refining from any ship's cargo or the stations, and then have that or actually sent to the station. The refined material to the station is great. Do the pilot weapons on the sides not count as remote turrets? So I believe there are forward-facing weaponries that are on gimbals, which are effectively not turrets, and then there's remote turrets on the top, and then there's manned turrets on the sides. I believe. And then the rocket pods at the back. I appreciate all the kind words. Thank you so much. Hope you're doing well, Info Runners, as well. Thank you. I thought there were 2 remote turrets on the TAC. But as I said, I may be wrong. Guardian should be back on the pledge store during Fleet Week. Almost all combat and logistics ships, or anything that could support the military, will be available in the store at some point over Fleet Week, including the Guardian. I believe there may be a new version of the Guardian, a new variant during Fleet Week as well. Do you think the next patch will be 4.2 or 4.1.2? Probably 4.1.2. Not 100% sure on that though. The naming schemes of CIG are a mystery even to themselves. You just want a lightning in your life? Well, you could buy one during Fleet Week. Get one in game, right? Just eventually. No, I think that... Do I think they've forsaken the Freelancer? So I think that the Star Lancer, any MISC sort of ship updates will potentially filter out to the Freelancers when they go to sort of update them and bring them to gold standard. It's not going to be huge, but... Do drones have to come before 1.0? Yes, because they are required for base building. With the first look at the tax snub hanger, do you think other ships should have snub hangers? And which ones? I mean, all the ships they currently have in game, I'm fine with them being how they are. See what I mean? I'd love it if they were modularly able to have snub hangers, right? Like the Caterpillar and any ship that has a area of modularity which could take the size of a hanger. I'd like them to be able to do that. Oh. Appreciate all the kind words. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Fleet Week. Sort of from May. So Star Citizen is interesting because you have sort of May, you have Fleet Week, and then you have Alien Week in June, or First Contact Day, whatever they call it now. Star Citizen's monthly patch cadence will have changed the way Star Citizen sort of operates, and it's not boom and bust cycle, but it's sort of like pumps of when it's sort of busy in the game and popular. Obviously, you're going to have more of the end of the year being the most popular with October and CitizenCon and the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, that sort of stuff. It's an interesting one. It's really interesting. Do you think Kraken owners will get an Idris loaner if it drops first? Oh, I see what you mean. How close are they? I mean, they're both big. Maybe? Like, are we going to get the Idris with Squadron 42, or are they going to release it sooner? And I think it would get the Idris before the Kraken. Do you think this year's CitizenCon will have... will have more big reveals or show off some of the progress that's been made? So, it's a... This year's CitizenCon is a significantly more focused showcase over a single day and online only. So they're going to be focusing on very specific things. They'll be focusing on some of those 1.0 features, sort of evolved, some new ships, some new events, and like Planet Tech. And I'll be right back. At the door. So, yeah, much more focused showcase. Hello. Oh. I'm only going to stream for a couple more minutes, sort of have a bit of a chat, a bit of a roundup, and try and lightning answer all these questions. Just because I've got the guys that are doing my garden and the front of my house, and I can't leave my house through the front door now because they've removed all the steps because they're redoing them. But I've got to lock up the garage and stuff because they've got a load of like JCBs and random machinery and stuff. Do you know your progress on the Starfarer gameplay design? No. Obviously, they want to have refueling as a more rounded gameplay loop, and for drones and stuff to be able to do it as well. I think they probably regret not having it as a drone gameplay loop to start with and more automated, because they've got it sort of like really in-depth dockings. But we'll see how that all rounds out in the future, because obviously they want a full-on, you can buy, refine, mine, fuel, use the Starfarer and some other ships to transport that around and refuel other ships. No worries. I appreciate people turning up whenever. I'm never sort of clear when I'm going to be streaming, but I'll start streaming more regularly for sure. Typically, I'll be streaming on sort of like 2 or 3 p.m. ish on Mondays. But I want to do that Monday and Friday again, probably. Zin and I are going to start playing a load of Star Citizen again, rather than just sort of. We're only playing a few hours a week at the moment, so. Yeah. What else have we got? And that. About that. We talked about CitizenCon. Yeah, less in the way of big reveals. Some, but more in the way of content and missions and events and evolution of rewards and classes and some of the stuff that we've seen at last year's CitizenCon. Much more. This is closer. This is much more rounded. Probably some more Squadron stuff. 7 years. 7 years. Watching me for 7 years. I apologise. I've been covering Star Citizen for a while now. Over a decade, eh? So the naming scheme for Star Citizen patches is largely irrelevant now, right? Because especially with the monthly patch cadence, it's this month's patch has this content in it. Yeah, you could say, technically, a point patch, so 4.3 should have a big new feature in it, and a 1.x patch should have less in the way of a new feature in it. But yeah. Right. So yes, next week is Fleet Week. Starts end of next week, 15th of May. That's awesome. Really looking forward to that. I'm expecting 4.1.1 to go out to live. I would expect to start to see release candidates for 4.1.1 starting probably Wednesday. And then them trying to get out by the end of the week, probably, but we'll have to wait and see. Lots of cool new ships and vehicles. Yeah. And we've talked about that in some videos. I don't want to keep on sort of chucking spoilers at people, or potential spoilers, because it is all rumour at this point, right? And we'll be digging into those Star Citizen financials in a lot more detail, because yeah, it did show a $20 million sort of dollar loss in 2023, but CIG had over 42 million in the bank then, and obviously 2025 has been a hugely successful year for them financially, and they haven't got any of those huge expenses, and they've been actually making themselves a lot more efficient and streamlined, getting rid of the LA studio, stuff like that. So it's not Feet Week, it's Fleet Week. But you want to run them both at the same time? Go ahead. I appreciate all the kind words. Thank you so much. Azin's all right for the most part. Always wish them well. I'll try and come to the people that are around the Manchester Bar Citizen. I'll try and come on the 14th of June. I'll attempt to convince Zin, but I think it's her partner's birthday around then, so what is that weekend? GOG has a massive backlog of concept ships and ships that need gold passes. Yes, huge amount that need gold passes for sure. Not that much. I mean, there's a reasonable, but there's not that much of a backlog of concept ships now. Like, they are getting more and more of those ships done each year. There is some that are very old on that list, though. I mean, obviously the Idris and stuff like that, and Javelin's almost done, but like the Banu Merchantman and the Endeavour and stuff like that. Yes, CIG are gonna potentially make a huge amount from Squadron 42 sales, assuming that game's good, right? Which I believe it to be. I hope it to be. I think it's going to be. Right. Love you guys loads. Thank you very much for watching and the support. I'm going to go now. I'm going to get the podcast out that I recorded earlier and also lock up my house and potentially get some more painkillers because I've really hurt my neck. I know what it is. I've slept bad and I've had bad back problems the last week and I've been lifting a huge amount of boxes today. An idiot. I'm a dum-dum. But yes, thank you very much for watching. Genuinely appreciated. Let me see who else is streaming at the moment, and I'll send you over to them. I'm going to send you over to Maya. He's a beautiful boy. And I love him. Slash raid. Boop. Give Maya some love. Thank you very much for watching. Yeah, keep on watching the channel. Feel free to contact me at contact@boredgamer.co.uk if you want to discuss anything or if you've got suggestions for videos or whatever. Thank you very much to my mods for being here. I never asked them to be here. They turn up. They're beautiful people. I never inform them when I'm going live. I love you loads. Genuinely appreciate it. And yeah, have a great May and Fleet Week in 4.1.1.